Yep, whenever you're ready to start it.
Welcome. We are glad that you are joining with us as we have this board meeting work session to consider and work on our strategic plan. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Manuel for some orientation and orienting remarks.
So first, I don't want to miss the opportunity because we have been working hard really since March. And the people in this room and the teachers in the schools and the staff in the schools, this has been a monumental task. And so I don't want to miss the opportunity to really share the success that we had yesterday. And for those of you who were on the tours and got to see everything, the Commissioner of Education, I really think, was blown away by what we did in our schools. And to see her face as we went in classroom after classroom after classroom, and you all saw what was happening in the rooms themselves and the level, a high level of instruction, how we're serving kids, how we're keeping children and staff safe. It was a monumental success. And I think it's important that we take the opportunity to really highlight that and thank all of the staff, all of our teachers, everyone, because it took a lot of planning, it took a lot of work for us to get to that point and to open the door. So with that being said, we have a short video just to highlight some of the pictures from yesterday's. Yes, but we'll watch real quickly.
I thought that the work that was done at the last school was some of the best that I've seen, not just in the state of Tennessee, but in the country. The social distancing, the signage, the masks, the level of instruction was incredible and exceptionally done. I was more than impressed.
So hopefully all of you had the opportunity to see the article and the quotes in the paper. I really talked to our staff at the beginning of the year. Sorry, this mask is keeping me from projecting. I really wanted them to focus on the fact that we needed to provide ourselves some grace. A lot of times we are our most difficult critics, and I love that we are always striving to be the best, and I made sure to say that doesn't mean that I did not want them to push themselves and challenge themselves and serve our children the best way possible, but know that this was going to be a time of struggle. But I ended with every challenge that our schools have faced. Every time we are dealing with a struggle or an issue or a problem, we rise to the top, not just in the state, but in the country. And so I think yesterday was a good example of how when people come in and see the incredible work that we're doing, we are rising to the top. So thank you for everyone who helped plan the event itself, and thank you for everyone who helped plan all the details that went into opening our schools. So with that, it's time to look forward. We are going to be looking forward to our next 5 years as a district, which is why we are going to talk about our strategic plan today. But we want to make sure that you had time as board members to go through, sit with some of the team members, not all of them, because as you are aware, we had parents serve on these committees, we had teachers and staff serve on these committees, but you'll see here as you rotate around to your groups, a lot of the people who went into the really writing of this plan will be there to answer your questions. So with that, I want to talk about our process that we've done so far. So Ms. Crowder, can you switch over to your book? This is also in your books. So if you looked at the first pages, we're really showing this so that a lot of the people in the community can see and remember what we've done. So our agenda today, as I'm opening, hopefully I'll be brief in less than 15 minutes, but the goal is then for each of the board members to rotate. So there will be 2 board members in here, a north and a south group. You'll spend a period of time at each station, like I said, and you'll be able to sit. And then the goal is for the board member themselves and also the staff member to come back and share out what all the details and conversations were regarding that one goal. So you can see on the board there some examples of what we're going to look at. When you go there, each of you have sticky notes. And as you're sitting with the staff members and you're looking at that component of the strategic plan, the goal is to identify some strengths of the plan, some things that stuck out to you as strengths and things that are positive. But then you're also going to be looking at what are some clarifications that you have? What are some questions that you may think we need to share it with the community, give more detail, give more information about in that section? And then there's a section for concerns. So as you rotate to each one, y'all are going to be building a chart that's going to help the board member and the staff member then come back and present. So for example, Ms. Luter, which section are you in? Do you know which was your goal?
I start with goal number 3, superintendent conference.
But you were goal number, I think 2 was your one that you had, the committee that you said. Yes.
I don't know what number it is.
Yes, so when you come back, you're going to meet before we come back with, who served on 2 from staff? Mr. Bland. So you and Mr. Bland will sit together and think about how you're going to summarize those 3 things from each of your goals. So you're going to say, these were all the questions that we had, these are all the strengths we had, these were all the concerns that we had for those sections. So you'll be able to share all those out, and then we'll have a time for the board to talk about that one goal as we move through that section. And so then we'll move on to the next goal, where the board member and the staff member will come up, share all the questions, concerns, strengths for that section, and then the board will have an opportunity to talk about it. And then we'll talk about steps moving forward from there. So you can see, after we do our rotations, there will be a break. Then you all will have time to get ready, look at what everybody said about the goal that you had, and then we'll come back. So if you can switch to the next one, Ms. Crowder. So you can see there's the breakdown of, as we get back to the group, how we're going to share out and how we're going to discuss all the different components of our strategic plan. So let's do a little history before we move on. So as you're aware, we have been using the TSBA's model of how to draft a strategic plan. That's what we've started and been doing from the start. And so some of the early things that we did were really involving the community. So if you can switch to the next one. So as you're aware, we started with a timeline that we shared out to the community of how we were going to develop our strategic plan. Now, we did have a COVID break in the middle of that plan in the spring, but we re-engaged. We put out a survey to the community, and we had almost 1,300 responses to that survey. That helped guide a lot of the things that we wanted to discuss and address in our plan. We had 2 town hall meetings where we had attendance and people could give feedback. So we were gathering feedback before we started developing the plan. The next step that we went into, we formed the committees. So they started looking at exemplar plans, and remember we talked about the niche system, so we looked at national districts that had success across the country, and we wanted to model some of those things. That really helped the board to look at their vision and the mission that y'all created. Then we had a school board vision and mission setting, and you'll also set the goals. So y'all have seen those pictures before where we did activities to help us craft the goals. Once we had the goals, then it was divided into smaller groups. And we also wanted the board to be aware of what was happening. So following that TSBA model, board sets the goals, and then the staff creates and writes the plan for the board to adopt. But we still wanted you all to be there and be part of that process and see what we were doing. So that's why we had parents, that's why we had board members on each of these committees. So know that we started that subcommittee work, and we had the focus groups that started last January. We then drafted the plan, and I was giving updates on the structure of the plan. You can see that's actually a slide from February where, actually before all this really hit, on where we were for the strategic plan. And so now, we did an update in June where you got the plan and got to see it and know that we needed more time because at the same time we were doing the road to reopening. So you'll ask for us to go into a little depth, which is why we're here today. So today the goal is for you to go around and really learn and have a chance to talk about each of the components of the plan. So if you can click to the next one. That brings us to our time to split into our groups. So you have the agenda at the beginning, the color-coded. It tells you where you're going to start. So who is starting in the Whole Child North group? So I think Linda is here. Actually, in this one is South, sorry. Then this is the academics group. Who's academics?